All right. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So, um, this session of Before Birth, we're calling it a postpartum tour of BBC. This is the first time we've ever done this. So, at least presenting it here and talking to you guys during Before Birth. So, I guess what I would say is please ask questions as we go, as we move through everything. If you have questions, we'll have time for questions at the end too. But if a question about what we're talking about comes up for you, please feel free, unmute yourself, ask questions. I'm happy to spend as much time as we need to talking about any of the different classes or groups or options that you have postpartum. I'll also say that if you put something in the chat when my screen is shared, I can't see it. So it seems like I'm ignoring your chat. Either if I think Bert's going to be on, she might be able to answer you, or just again, I might not see it. So, all right. So I put this together in the order that you might encounter things postpartum. So let's talk first about your postpartum visit with your doula. And so every doula client gets a postpartum visit after the birth of their baby with your doula. And most doulas stay for at least like 1 to 2 hours postpartum. It sort of depends on how things are going. What do you need? If you need a little extra support, your doula might stay longer. If things are going really well and really smoothly, kind of at the least, we are there with you for that first hour. We help get breastfeeding established if you're planning to breastfeed, and like answer questions. If you and the baby are separated, like we might stay with you while your partner goes with the baby, that sort of thing. We hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, we're kind of there even postpartum for you after, again, whatever comes up for you after your baby's born. So we want you to know that the timing of your postpartum visit is super flexible. Some people want to have the doula come over like within days of the birth and to talk about it and to talk about how they're feeling and how things are going. And then other times, it might be, a couple of weeks, maybe even a month after the baby's born. We do love to see you after the birth. We're happy to talk to you about the birth, answer questions, sort of share like what happened after my water broke. I don't remember, things like help fill in gaps in your birth story, um, to come see you and to see the baby. And also talk about what you might be needing in terms of like what sort of resources might be helpful for you. Like, do you need any help with feeding? Do you need help with like how's your mood? Are you worried about postpartum depression? Are you finding yourself feeling anxious? Like things like that. And if we can't help you like directly, we can help get you in touch with somebody who can help. So, um, any other thoughts, like Julie and Bert, if you guys are still here, any other thoughts about what happens during the postpartum visit? You want to chime in?
I think you covered everything.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You
Most
mentioned, sorry, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
You mentioned filling in gaps and stuff with the birth story. Some doulas, sometimes I'll like write notes throughout like the birth, and sometimes I'll ask if my clients want me to like send that to them just to see like time frames and stuff like, oh, you started pushing at amount of time or whatever, if they wanted to know that, help them fill in gaps sort of that way, specifics.
Yeah, like a timeline. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and every doula sort of does it a little bit differently, but for the most part, we are doing some record keeping during your birth, even like for our own, just like keeping track of how it went for you. All right. Most of the time, the doula comes to your home, but that's optional. For whatever reason, like sometimes people have like pets that are sort of like hard when visitors are around. So if you ever would rather meet at BBC, like we can arrange that. We also can meet over Zoom if you're like feeling like you don't want extra people in the house. If you're feeling worried about germs, we get that too. Also, like if you want your doula to wear a mask, like it's okay to ask for that. Um, and again, like over Zoom or talk on the phone. And then usually there are a few text messages exchanged, like just to like check in and say, how's it going? Thinking about you. You should hear from us. If you don't hear from your doula and you're needing them, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like they're still like available to you. So know that like it's always okay to text or call your doula, even if you haven't heard from them. Because sometimes we assume you're busy and you're sleep deprived, and like we don't want to be one more thing that you have to do. So if you don't hear from us, know that we're still here for you. All right. Okay, so for those of you that are intending to breastfeed, for those of you that have the signature or the full circle bundle, you have already paid for a lactation visit. Like that is a part of your doula package. And you can reach out anytime to schedule your consult. And you'll reach out to me. And so my phone number and email address are like all over the website, but your doula can also give you my contact info. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me, and we'll get you scheduled. We can usually get you scheduled usually within a couple of days. Sometimes it's like, depending on if it's like a Friday, it might have to be like next week. There's another lactation consultant that works with us, two others, Beverly Brewer and Heather Hershelman. So sometimes, like depending on where you live or who can see you soonest, we work out that scheduling behind the scenes, and then we put you in touch with whatever lactation consultant is going to come and see you. And so also, if you have the traditional bundle, you can also, of course, schedule a lactation visit. You just pay for that separately as needed. Home lactation visits are $140. We don't take insurance, so they have to be paid for out of pocket, but we can take a credit card, you can write a check, you can use cash, you can use an HSA card. We can often give you a form that you can submit to your insurance company, because some insurances do cover lactation visits, but if that's really important to you, I would check with them first. So, and also know that like visits can be scheduled for any reason. So like, let's say that like you have the signature or the full circle bundle, you have this visit coming, but things are going really well and you don't really feel like you need lactation help. Like even if you need help, like getting ready to go back to work and you want some help, like looking at your pump, talking about a work schedule, like giving the baby a bottle, like we can do like even a back to work consult. Like you can use it for anything. Or even if you're combination feeding formula and and you're doing like your bottle feeding and breastfeeding, it's okay. Like we are still happy to help you, whatever your feeding goals are. It doesn't have to, we can help with all sorts of things related to feeding. So, so just know like they have lots of options there and how you use that. Also, most commonly, the lactation visits are also home visits. But again, we have the option to meet at BBC if you prefer. I also sometimes see people out of my home. I live in the Highland Park neighborhood. And if for whatever reason, like your home visit isn't going to work, you can come to me, or we can go to BBC. And you can also use your visit for a virtual visit or even like phone support. Like maybe you just have a couple things you want to talk through, or you're not sure if you need a lactation visit, but you just want to talk about what's going on, or you have some like you're home and you're engorged and you don't know what to do. Like your breasts are really full, like your milk is coming in and you're feeling like your doula might be able to help, but you're also welcome to reach out to me and we can just even talk on the phone for 10 or 15 minutes. Like it's all like, we're here for that too. So any other questions about the lactation visit? Does anybody have? All right. Okay. So one of the other things that we offer at BBC is a few different support groups. This photograph is from our Life with Baby group, and it was from Halloween. You can't really, I think most of their costumes were off at that point, but this was like our Halloween, like we had like people brought their babies in costumes and we took pictures and it was super fun and cute. So on Wednesday mornings, we have a group that's called Breastfeeding Cafe, and that is our breastfeeding support group. I facilitate that group. Again, Wednesday mornings, like we start at 10, but actually we don't really get started until about 10:15 by the time everybody's sort of settled. Life with Baby starts also at 10, but on Thursdays, and Jenny Kiefer facilitates our Life with Baby group. So both of these groups are meant to be parenting, like feeding support. Breastfeeding Cafe does tend to be more breastfeeding focused, but we also talk about pumping. Sometimes we have parents come again that are like combo feeding formula and breast milk, and that's totally okay. Like you don't have to be like exclusively breastfeeding to come to these groups. We do a lot of sort of like question and answer, and sometimes like questions turn into group discussion. Every single group is different. It's very laid back. Everybody that comes is like generally very friendly, always very friendly, very supportive. Sometimes these groups are like the first place that you might go, like by yourself with your baby. Like the first place you leave the house the first time, that can be a super scary thing. And like BBC sometimes feels like a nice, safe place to go. Because if you show up with a crying baby who needs to eat or needs a diaper change, like you are in the perfect place. And partners are also welcome to come with you. I'll tell you that partners don't usually come, but again, like we wouldn't turn them away. Sometimes a partner will come, drop off like the birth parent and the baby, and then like leave and like go get coffee or food somewhere, like like Wegmans or whatever, and then come back and pick up. So just like, just to sort of know how it sometimes works. And sometimes we have like dads or other partners hang out for the whole meeting, and it's always okay. And then Life with Baby, similar. It tends to be less feeding focused, more just general baby talk, or just a chance to hang out with other new parents, ask questions about anything related to parenting, related to like going back to work, finding daycare, sleep, anything baby care. And both of these groups, like Breastfeeding Cafe, Life with Baby, they are very laid back, meaning that like it's okay to come in late, it's okay to leave early, you don't have to stay for the whole time. So it's not like a class where like we expect you to show up right on time and then you get out when class is over. This is like you can come and go as you need to. So, and another question we get frequently about these two groups is like how soon do people start coming? And some people will come to Breastfeeding Cafe or Life with Baby. Like we have people there with babies that are like a week old, like right around there. So sometimes people are like got a newborn and they're there. Other times, families wait until like 2 or 3 months, and maybe after the babies had their first round of vaccines. Everybody's a little bit different about how they feel. I'll tell you that people don't tend to come if they're sick. They're very good about canceling if they don't feel well or their baby is sick. And also, your baby is going to spend the majority of their time in your arms. There's not a lot of co-mingling. Sometimes like, we have crawlers on the floor, like, and they like share toys and stuff. But if you've got a young baby, you can sit on the couch with the baby in your arms like the whole time. And, they're like minimal exposure to whatever else might be like on the floor, babies crawling around. All right. The last thing I'll say about Breastfeeding Cafe and Life with Baby, unless anybody has further questions, is that you are very welcome to come to these groups when you're pregnant. So depending on what your work situation's like, if you just want to come and hang out and listen or ask questions or just see the group, like we definitely have pregnant people that come from time to time. So you're welcome to come at any point. All right. We also have a cesarean and a VBAC support group, and that is facilitated by Jenny Kiefer, the same person who does Life with Baby. This is a monthly group. They tend to meet the third Friday of the month in the evenings, like at 7 o'clock. And this might be a helpful group if you have a cesarean and you want to connect with others who had a cesarean. Or maybe you have had a prior cesarean and you're planning a VBAC, which is VBAC stands for vaginal birth after cesarean. And so there's support for that in the group as well. So we usually have like a mix of people who like had a cesarean or people who are planning their VBAC and want to talk about that because there are, some sort of like complex emotional feelings and things to figure out sometimes for that. So again, like you can come to that when you're pregnant, or you can also come postpartum. All right, another newer group that we have is called Life with Littles, and this is for babies aged like 12 to 36 months. Again, this is relatively new. We just kind of like added this to the calendar regularly just last month. Melissa Ebner is leading this for us. So this won't be like immediate postpartum, but if you really enjoy the support groups, a lot of people come and make friends, and this is the chance to still like get together and let little ones run around for about an hour together, and also talk about things like potty training and just the different things that come up in that age group. And then one of the other newer, like like I say newer offerings that we have is called the Red Tent. We have had the Red Tent for many, many years, but we just recently brought it back and are trying to offer it more regularly. This is our birth story sharing night. And, I think we're going to offer it quarterly, where on, like, it was a Thursday evening a couple weeks ago, we invite you or anybody in the community can come, and we just share our birth stories. You don't have to share, or you can just come and listen. But if you want just like a place to tell your birth story and have people listen and just hold space for you, like that's what we do. So just know that that's an option for you as well. And the other thing about the Red Tent is, we try to, like, we want it to feel sacred. This isn't a time where anybody's going to critique any decisions that you made or offer suggestions. Like, it's really just a place for sharing and listening. So then that's just another option for you. And after your baby's here, and you'll see that pop up like on Facebook and different places. We have a Facebook group that I'll tell you about too. All right, any support group questions or thoughts? All right. Okay, and then we'll talk about some of the classes that we offer for new families. So I have just a couple photos here. So on the right, the upper right-hand corner, this is our Music Together class. And Music Together, taught by Flower City Music Together. And this isn't technically a BBC program, but it happens at BBC. The woman that teaches it, her name is Chelsea. She's a former BBC mom. She was a doula client. She came to all of our support groups. Now her baby's in kindergarten, and she's busy teaching music classes to little ones. So the music class is, it's for babies aged 0 months through 8 months, and it runs on Monday mornings. There's a fee associated with it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the link for it is on the website. It's like an 8-week program, and it's like, it can be you, or it can be like a caregiver. Like if you have like your mom or your like grandma is watching the baby, it can be that they can be the ones to come to the class. There's singing, there's dancing, and Chelsea does a really wonderful job explaining how music benefits even our littlest people. So like even babies really benefit from this music class, no matter what their age is. And you'll like sing songs, and you'll learn these songs, and you'll sing them at home. And it's a really well-developed curriculum with a lot of evidence behind it. So it's a program that's put together really well and is really well attended. So if that's something that you're interested in, like it typically sells out, I would just recommend like check it out. Know that it's here. There'll probably be a spring session that starts in March, and then probably a summer session that probably starts in June. All right, we also have a breastfeeding, we call it Breastfeeding 201, which is all about going back to work. So we talk about a pumping routine, how to figure out how frequently you need to pump, how to get your baby ready to like take bottles if they haven't been taking bottles, how much to feed them, how much to send. Like we talk about all the things you need to know to go back to work. It's way more than we can talk about in our intro to breastfeeding class. It's like, this is a class that's best to take after your baby's here, after you kind of have a hang of breastfeeding. Then, that's meant to take postpartum. We also offer 2 like postpartum yoga classes on the lower left-hand corner. This is a picture from our baby and me yoga class. Eileen Casey Campbell is teaching it now. It's on Wednesday mornings at 9, right before Breastfeeding Cafe. So a lot of times people will come for yoga and then stay for Breastfeeding Cafe. You don't have to, of course, but that's often how it works. Um, and it's well attended. We have at least like 5, 6, 7 moms and babies in the class every week. And then we also have a postpartum yoga class on Saturday mornings, late morning. It's probably pressing into the afternoon. It starts at, I think it starts at 12:15. It's on the calendar, but it's after, yeah, it must start at 12 or 12:15. And that's with Olivia. And again, that's on Saturdays. So, and our postpartum yoga class, it's not a baby and me type class, but if you need or want to bring your baby with you, you can. And if you need to stop in the middle of class and breastfeed or care for your baby, like that's okay. You can totally do that. Or you can step out and go into the learning center, go into the other room and take care of them there and then rejoin class when you're ready. So babies are welcome. But again, it's not a baby and me class. Like baby's not involved in class like they are for the Wednesday morning class. And then another class that we offer is called Introduction to Solids. And so most people start to introduce solid foods to their baby around 6 months of age. And, you know, if this is your first baby, it might feel like a long ways off, this idea of feeding the baby something other than breast milk or formula. But it can be sort of daunting when you get to that stage. So we have a class that is taught by Stacia Paganelli from Help with Feeding. And it's just a great class to talk to you all about introducing food to your baby, whether you're going to do purees, whether you're going to do something that's called baby-led weaning, where babies tend to like feed themselves and everything isn't pureed. It's more like you feed them, like you give them a piece of like well-steamed broccoli and they feed themselves with that. And like how to know the difference between choking and gagging, because like it can be really scary when your baby gags and whoops, come back. And you're like, what's happening? And so Stacia sort of like talks through all that and helps just helps you know what to expect and gives you resources and things. That's another well-attended class. And if your baby's going to be 6 months, you might take the class when your baby's 4 or 5 months old, or depending on the timing, because we tend to offer it every other month. It's also okay to take like even after you've started solid foods and you have questions or just want to know. Like she teaches all sorts of really great things that honestly I wish I would have known. My kids are all way older, and I think like when I sat in on one of her classes, I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know any of this. So even just like why it's important to have a high chair that your baby can put their feet down on and their feet can touch, like some really cool things to know about when your baby starts to eat food. So there's something in the chat, but I am like having a really hard time clicking it. So there we go. Let's see. Oh, somebody's signing off. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna just stop sharing for a second so I can get this out of the way. Okay. Just moving stuff around. Okay, let's come back. I'm gonna come back. Okay. And then the other class is first aid and CPR for infants and children. You can take that class postpartum if you didn't get a chance to take it during your pregnancy. Sometimes like that class sells out, especially the in-person classes, and we're trying to add more to the schedule. But so just know that you can take that class after your baby's here. Babies in arms are welcome. So if you need to come and bring your baby, because it's usually in the evening, you can do that. And then we also offer that virtually. So if you wanted to like join on one of the Zoom calls and watch from home, the class is taught live over Zoom. You can do that as well. And again, that's one that sometimes people take prenatally too. Okay. Doing okay? Any other questions or thoughts so far? All right. And then let's just review just to make sure everybody knows all these things. The classes to take like before your baby's here. Again, if you have the signature bundle, we hope that you sign up for one of our childbirth classes, whether you take the 5-week series or like the 1-day Saturday class. You can do either one of those. And then also taking intro to breastfeeding. So if there's some confusion around when to take intro to breastfeeding, this is definitely a class we want you to take before your baby's here. So sign up for that during your pregnancy. Another common question is like, should partners come? Yes, definitely. We want your partner to be there. It's okay to come by yourself if that's just sort of like how it works out. Sometimes partners can't come or just don't want to, which is fine. But there's usually like both partners are usually there for this class. And it's good. We want you both to get this info because we talk about a lot of stuff and it's just good for you both to hear it. All right, the full circle bundle, same thing, childbirth education, intro to breastfeeding. You also you sign up for our baby basics class. That's included in your bundle. And of course, anybody can take any of these classes a la carte. So if you want to take baby basics, our comfort measures class, which is basically like learning about different positions, different techniques, things to help you get through labor. It's a chance to practice those positions and have your partner hear some of these things and kind of help get the conversation like rolling for you guys to like talk about, what might feel good, what do you think like you're going to want to do when you're in labor. And everybody here, of course, has a doula, and your doula is very well versed in comfort measures. But for those of you that if this is like your second or more baby, like sometimes like comfort measures is a really wonderful refresher. Like you don't need a childbirth class, but you want to just sort of like brush up and start thinking about how we're going to get through this, how's labor going to go. Comfort measures can be a great class. And then also full circle bundle, you get 5 prenatal yoga passes. So just to make sure to review that. I also manage our yoga program. So if you have any questions about yoga or like how the passes work, you can email me or even send an email to info@bbcroc.com. I see those emails. So or you can just email me at Allison at bbcroc.com. But I can answer questions about yoga and anything that you have questions about. So also for second time or more parents, we have a sibling class. Bert teaches the sibling class and so does Melissa. They sort of like alternate classes. The sibling class is great for kids who are like, 2.5 until about 7, I would say. We show a video of a family who is getting ready to welcome a new baby into their family. We talk about there's a baby in mommy's belly. We show, like a doll and a placenta, and we sort of talk about it. Bert, do you want to talk a little bit about the sibling class? Are you in a place to do that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's very basic for little ones, but we talk about the anatomy of mom, baby, what might happen when mom goes into labor, like loud noises, practicing holding babies, where to touch babies, where we don't touch babies. And they get to draw a picture of what they think their baby might look like, the baby sibling. And we have a family come in at the end who usually a new family of a baby with an older sibling comes in at the end, and we have everyone ask questions. They share their experience. I think that's probably the most valuable part, is like being able to ask a family that literally just went through it, like, what do you wish you knew before, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then it also gives the kids in class a chance to like see a baby. Right.
Yeah. And if the family is comfortable, you can hold their baby or touch their baby.
Yeah. Yep. And that's usually super fun. And then everybody gets to ask questions, like you said, and that's usually like really nice.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. And if you're interested in prenatal yoga, we have 3 prenatal yoga classes a week, Monday nights, Thursday nights, and Saturday mornings. at 10:45. So if you are curious about it, we have a wonderful little yoga community, and like you don't have to have like any yoga experience. Our classes are really gentle. And if something is too hard for like for you or wherever you are in whatever stage of pregnancy, like the instructor can modify poses for you. Usually we give you a nice long shavasana, a little rest at the end of class, set up well with lots of yoga props and everything. So no experience necessary. It's also a chance to start to build some community, be with other pregnant people, and to stretch and just sort of like tune in, connect with the baby. There's a lot of benefits to prenatal yoga. And then the other thing we want to make sure you do before your baby's here is schedule your prenatal meeting with your doula. Most people do that around 36 weeks, sometimes a little bit sooner, sometimes a little bit later. And then again, everybody's needs are a little bit different. You know, sometimes you want to connect with your doula before that 36-week mark. You can jump on Zoom, you can ask to meet for a cup of tea. Like we're always happy to like meet with you, just to get together, talk about what's going on, connect, get to know each other, whatever it is that you need. Like don't be afraid to reach out to your doula and ask for that. And then we also hope you attend these before birth sessions because we talk about all sorts of things. We'll talk about inductions, we'll talk about birth plans, we'll talk about the 4th trimester, like that first 12 weeks postpartum, and all the things that we want you to know about baby, about the birthing parent, about the family. So yeah, so those are the things that we want to make sure you know about. All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I'm going to stop sharing here. Good.
Hey, I actually had a question about meeting the doula for the prenatal visit. Should your partner go to that?
Usually, yes. And I mean, I guess everybody's a little bit different, but it's always great to have both partners there. But if it doesn't work out, it's okay.
All right, thank you.
What else? Does anybody else have questions about classes or groups? Anything? All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up then. Thank you for being here. Hope this was helpful. And if you need anything, you can reach out to your doula. You can reach out to us. We're here for you. And I'm going to send out an email, and then your doula will forward you of this recording. But we'll also share our Facebook group that we have. It's called BBC's Breastfeeding Cafe and Parenting Support Group. And again, it's a Facebook group, lots of conversation about breastfeeding, but also parenting in general. And it's also a place to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of like what's happening at BBC and what's coming up, what support group is happening today, what classes are coming up. We do a lot of sharing there as well. So if you're not there already, again, I will send the link. I'll include the link in the email with this recording, and you can feel free to join the group if you like. So, all right. Thanks everybody for being here. I hope you have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Thanks all.